So I stepped out one day, and it was a sunny day, a rarity during the time I was there, because August, September, it's very rainy season. And I heard a sound like this, very similar to what I was, because I was not doing, I was actually watching you all. That sound was just phenomenal. And then I thought, my goodness, this sound, is this some unheard naad? Is this some divine unstruck sound I'm hearing within me? What is this most amazing thing happening? And then I saw a huge swarm of bees charging from one side to my side. Now, remember, I'm just in my loincloth, okay? So at that time, I had the choice to rush back to my cave. Because throughout the time I was in the Himalayas, and even before then, whenever I would do a sadhana, my prime concern always was one single concern only. And that was, I have in my mind pledged to stick to a certain discipline. I've made a contract with nature, with myself, and I would not want to break that contract. My word to me is really important. I always believe, don't say what you don't mean, and if you say something, you better mean it. So it was I thought, if these bees bite me, sting me, I was just by myself at that time. There was no soul close to me for kilometers at a stretch. And I thought, I might end up just dying in that cave. And nobody would even know. Because people might just think my cave door is closed, or something. Anything could happen. And I thought, if they sting me and my body swells and so on and becomes itchy, then how would I sit for my evening meditation? Because I used to meditate late hours into night and then throughout the day until midday. My only concern was that how would I do that? And then deep in my mind, I thought, but I have no desire or intention to harm these creatures. And I'm not playing in their area. I am not causing any havoc. I'm not causing any destruction in the ecosystem. So I'm sure they will sense this energy. There is something one day I might write in a book, but briefly I'd like to share with you. Before I renounced, one time I did a sadhana where only 2 hours during the day I would nap, and rest of the time was all just very intense sadhana. And I would sleep on the floor with just a kusha asan and a cotton sheet on it. So I was sitting there, and it was afternoon, and I didn't feel sleepy. If you don't sleep for long days, for many days, you almost become insomniac. You feel even less sleepy then. So I wasn't feeling sleepy that day, and during that sadhana, I was observing silence, and I was in my mind chanting a stuti of Lord Vishnu. It was a Devi sadhana though. But it was my spare time, free time. I thought I could just do whatever I liked. And I heard a bee, the sound of a honeybee kind of sound, or a wasp. I didn't know, or a hornet. At that time, I didn't know what it was. And I thought, what is this sound? And I looked around the room. It was just a very small room, 10 feet by 10 feet at the most, or maybe 8 by 8. And I couldn't see anything. And I thought, maybe just my illusion again. And I started chanting. In my mind, started doing that stuti again. Same sound came again and again. And then I got up and I saw next to the window, there were 2 honeybees just making that sound, that buzzing sound. So I closed my window. That room only had 1 window and 1 door. So I closed the window and it became a little dark in the room, and I started chanting. I started doing my recitation again. But that sound did not stop. I thought, this sound is somewhere close. It's not from the outside anymore. Then I looked around again. At that time, I wasn't so ignorant to believe that it was the unstruck sound. So I looked at it again, and in one of the corners, I used a flashlight. There was a small honeybee that was caught in a web, a cobweb, and it was trying to escape. And spider could approach any minute and kill this thing. Now I was in a real quandary. Should I save the honeybee? Or should I let the spider starve? Because a honeybee was its natural food. I mean, it didn't go out, it weaved its web and it walked right in. So what was my duty at that time? This was before renunciation days, when I was a lot more unsure about everything. So quickly on a piece of paper I wrote yes and no. I did. And I said, I'll pick a slip. If it says yes, I will save the honeybee. If it says no, it can die. The slip came yes. I said, okay. Now the question is, how do I save it? So I took a little twig, because I used to have firewood for my yajna anyway. So I took a little twig and I rolled it and I brought it down. And then I went outside. And I knew it could sting me at that time. It's his dharma, it's his nature. But I also knew that it was a price I was willing to pay. So very carefully, I just, with a blade of grass, I removed it, the web from the twig, and it landed on the ground. And I waited for it to fly. But it didn't fly. And I thought, why is it not flying? Then I paid closer attention, and some part of the web was still sticking to one of its tender rear legs. And then, even more carefully, I took another blade of grass, and with two blades, I started working on it like a good surgeon, or maybe a good salon artist. It was like waxing. So I just started working on it, and soon it was free. And it took a flight. When it took a flight, I can't tell you what I felt, put it in words, but at that time I felt, today I've kind of made a pact with these bees. I felt their kind will not hurt me. I don't know why I felt that. It could just be delusional thinking, because we can be very weird in our thinking sometimes, giving ourselves importance. People say they communicate with their puppies as well. And then that bee went away. I opened the window, and it was sunny day, so I was standing next to a tree. It was next to a gorge, and there was a little tree. So I was just there. A few minutes later, many bees came there. And they just buzzed about and went away. I felt something beautiful happen that day. I could save a life, although I couldn't feed the spider or anything, but I could save a life. So fast forward now, this happened in 2009, I think, and October 2009, and this was 2010, 1 year later just. The month of September or early October, I don't remember exactly. When this incident happened, I was near certain that I don't have to worry about these bees. And no matter what, even if they sting me, I had made up my mind, I'm not going to crush them or react. I will just simply stand still. And they came, and they went around me, about me. First time in my life, I saw a whole swarm of bees from up so close. And it is amazing how receptive they are. Not even one ran into me. They sensed an object and they just all went around it. They were moving at really fast pace. And that experience, gave me so much conviction to then live in the Himalayas with utmost peace and harmony with all the living creatures there. There were no destructive thoughts.